Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. It's late at night. I didn't expect to be getting access to the test server today or this late when I'm recording, of course, slightly in advance. But let's take a look. We've got 4 new champions coming in this patch. Possibly the patch with the new clan boss. It is not here for me to test, so I don't know. Maybe it's coming, maybe it's not, maybe it's secret. Not sure. But the new fusion's in here and some other stuff. Let's take a look. So, excuse me, we have Stokk the Broken. We can see his base stats here. We've already seen his skills and how it all works. Unfortunately, he does need 14 legendary skill tomes, but also looks really good. And I will try get a showcase of him done for you very soon. I think it's gonna need a good bit of testing and team building to see what he can do. I would say, like at a quick glance, right? He has 20,000 HP and 1.15 defense, let's say, 103 speed. To compare that very quickly to, let's say, Theodore, how does that compare? Theodore, similar. Theodore has more defense and a tiny bit more speed, but they're pretty similar, actually. So very similar stat line to Theodore. Where's Bad? I think Bad L's in the Undead. Bad L. Very similar to Bad L. So he's actually very similar to those guys stat-wise, which is good to see. Right, we've got another ogre then, or ogren. Craklin the Blackened, which I love the name. Look at this handsome devil. Wow. Look at this. Again, this will probably come up. Often comes up, I think, with the ogres and skinwalkers and stuff, but the nips are out. The nips are out. Means it's a man. So Craklin the Blackened is a male character. I don't know. I just sort of have a bit of a female vibe when I first looked, but then I was like, "No, the nips are out. It's definitely a man." Craklin the Blackened. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Craklin the Blackened. Support champion, force affinity, 99 speed. You know, tanky, quite tanky. Let's take a look. Sear the Meat. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit is an 80, goes to 100% chance of placing heal reduction. Teams up with one random ally from the Ogre and Tribes faction. Ally joining the attack will use their default skill. Bit of a bummer, right? You know, we've seen a lot of champions recently, like Tealcrest, Incensa, etc., that are bringing in like good champions. This is random. So you might get something good, you might get something bad. I mean, it might be decent, but it's very random. I mean, I guess what you could do, of course, you know, you can only bring one other ogre in, and it will always bring them in. It's actually not too shabby. Blister Blast, A2. I can't speak this late at night, apparently. 4 turn books to a 3 turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies. Has a 75 books to 100% chance of placing decrease accuracy and weaken for 2 turns, and increase the duration of all continuous heal buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Okay, AoE decrease accuracy weaken. Quite nice for Hydra. Let's see his other moves. Warbeat Rhythm, 5 goes to a 3 turn cooldown. Restores 50% of each ally's destroyed max HP. Oh wow, places reflect damage and continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. Huh, not a fan of this move. Let's just check out the passive first, then I'll say why, just to see the full kit. House Special, whenever continuous heal buff is activated on an ally, has a 25 booking to 50% chance to decrease the duration of all debuffs in that ally by 1 turn. It's actually a really good passive. The passive is probably better than you think, right? It's sort of ending up being, you know, every turn 50-50 to just decrease all of their debuffs. That's very strong. Presuming that would remove crowd control, like 1 turn stuns and freezes and stuff. I guess that if the continuous heal procs first, it's a 50-50 to remove them. That's not bad. Okay, so I'm here for that. That's a good passive. This move is kind of weird. Not a fan of the restoring a portion of destroyed max HP. That's hopefully okay. We'll see when we test it. Not as good as champions, of course, who restore full destroyed max HP. But we'll see. This maybe is okay. It depends exactly how it's coded. Reflect damage, very niche. Maybe it's good against the new boss. By the time this video goes live, I guess we'll have even more info on the new boss. I've only seen the Viper and Ram form as of time of recording, and we're even missing one skill for the Ram form. No one ever shared it. Weird. Strange. The reflect damage, not super useful. He's probably okay. Actually, probably very good for progressing on Fire Knight, right? Reflect damage helps you knock the Fire Knight shield down. Double hitter A1. That brings in an ally attack. Like, you could put him in with, you know what? With a Blizzard, actually be pretty good. Triple hit with the freezes on Blizzard, pretty nice. Or if you're against the regular clan boss, is there anyone who does much turn meter control? I don't know if anyone does much turn meter control here. Yeah, maybe not. I mean, you could put in Skrank for some damage. There's definitely some interesting possibilities. He seems kind of mid. Not too excited about Craklin, honestly. But, I mean, he does some interesting stuff, but seems more like an earlier game progression champion. That's Craklin. Let me know what you think about Craklin. Not sure about that one. We have a new Void Legendary in the Lizards. They've got quite a chunk of Void Legendaries. It's Pheidi Tealcrest. This guy looks cool. Maybe it's Pheidi Tealcrest. Maybe the P is silent, huh? Yeah, I love it. That's actually really awesome design. That sort of Aztec, Mayan warrior coming with like the dinosaur pterodactyl. Pretty cool. It reminds me actually a good chunk of Warhammer. The lizard man from Warhammer. Very cool. 80 resist and all battle aura. A1 Zephyr Lance. Attacks one enemy 2 times. By the way, he is a support champion. Good speed, tanky. Yeah, standard enough. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit heals all allies by 5% of this champion's max HP. And he is HP-based damage dealer as well. Each hit also has a 75 bucks to 100% chance to fill the turn meter of the ally with the lowest turn meter by 10%. Not too bad. So you're getting 10% of his max HP healing total, 20% turn meter to somebody potentially. Yeah, cool. All right. On Teal Wings. Wow. Oh my god. 6 turn. Books to 3 turns. You really, really want to book him. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. Then has a 75 bucking to 100% chance of putting block buffs and decreased speed. And fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. Interesting. Sort of like classic Hydra debuffs. Okay. Sky Mirage. 6 turn goes to a 4 turn cooldown. Puts increased resistance and Perfect Veil on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Oh shit, decrease the cooldown of all ally active skills, except this champion's by 3 turns. Okay. The cooldown of this... The cooldown of this skill cannot be decreased by other cooldown decreasing effects. Now, this is a weird one. Why this is weird to me is Yumiko, and there's been a few champions. It seems to be this idea that Void legendaries before this were, I think it was fairly consistent that Void champions could reduce their cooldowns, but like someone like a Kaimar couldn't. This is now breaking that rule. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if they even ever came out and said it was a rule, but it did seem to be a thing that they were letting Void champions reset each other, like Yumiko resetting Yumiko, Lammasu resetting Yumiko, and just having reset chains. This breaks that. This is clearly not supposed to be a thing. That really just seems like they're going to pick champions at random to let them reset each other. So you can't... But this is still very good. Still a 4-turn cooldown, reset, 3-turn reset. That is game-changing for so many accounts. Yeah, pretty big. Yeah, it's definitely a Hydra champ for sure as well. Like, increased resist, Perfect Veil. You want to put that with a buff extender. And then with the resetting of skills as well. Really nice. Good debuffs for Hydra. Definitely seems like a Hydra champion through and through. Draco's speed, turn meter fill effects on allies under crowd control are 30% more effective. Does include sheep. Huh, okay. Whenever a sheep debuff is removed or expires on an ally, heals that ally by 25% of their max HP and places 30% increased speed on them for 1 turn. Oh, that's kind of fun. I mean, he could be okay for... he could be quite good for Arena. I mean... You know, it's sort of a Duchess type thing. You put him in 2 turns Stone Skin. You know what? Yeah. You put this guy in 2 turns Stone Skin. High resistance. So they come in. They're not able to like strip him or kill him. Whatever. And then he puts Perfect Veil on everybody else and resets their skills. If you're locked out. Anti-lockout champion. Yeah. High resistance. 2 turns Stone Skin. Then he can tank them while the other turn of Stone Skin goes. He protects your team with Perfect Veil. He makes them start resisting with increased resist. Kind of fun, and he resets them, and then he can maybe strip the enemy the next turn. Kind of funky, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. This is kind of interesting. Definitely some quirky arena uses, for sure. Definitely looks good for Hydra. I don't know. He's an interesting one. Is he, like, really good? I'm not sure. I mean, getting a full reset, or not full reset, but any reset is nice. Curious. He's curious. I definitely need to see, excuse me, definitely need to see more of him in action to make the decision. Yeah, I was kind of like not too impressed, and then I got to the reset and was like, okay, yeah, maybe. Then we have final champion for this patch. It is Tribune Herakletes. I don't know. I'm not really too familiar with my. I think it's Greek. Maybe it's Roman. I don't know. Looks kind of Greek though. Looks cool. Yeah, I like him. He's got the Undead Horde colored lightsaber sword. Very cool. Reminds me kind of a decent bit of like Viego from League of Legends with the sword. Sort of merged with the more, I don't know, I'd say more sort of generic sort of skeleton guy. Sort of Undead Hordes from this game. It's kind of cool. But yeah, he's defense based and he is a damage dealer. Base defense is good. Not crazy, but it's very good. Slow speed, high crit damage. Let's take a look. His aura. 30% defense in all battles, and 20% crit rate for undead hordes. That's a weird one. That's definitely not easy to build around. You have to build very specific teams. Kind of clunky. But okay. I'm never a fan of the crit rate auras. I just find it's so annoying to use them. But maybe you build very specific teams. Let's see. Snake Biter, his A1. Attacks one enemy. Puts True Fear debuff on the target for 1 turn. This cannot be resisted or blocked if this champion is dead. I've actually read through this guy's kit. It makes sense. It does make sense at the end. But yeah, if this champion is dead, also heals all allies by 20% of their max HP. And 30% damage from books is quite nice. So yeah, cool. He's A2, Battle Resurrection, 4-turn cooldown. 30% damage from books. Attacks one enemy, ignores 100% of the target's defense. Just straight up. Ignores 100%. If the target was killed, revives a random dead ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. If the target was killed, there are no dead allies. Resets the cooldown of this skill instead. Monster of a move. 100% defense ignore is absolutely bonkers. So this thing is going to clap, like unbelievably so. You don't need Helm Smasher. You don't need gear sets. It's just going to destroy people. For Valdemar, here we go. First faction unity thing. 4-turn cooldown. That books to a 3-turn. Attacks all enemies, destroys the max HP of all enemies by 10%, places a shield buff in this champ for 2 turns, value of the shield equal to the total amount of all enemies destroyed max HP. So yeah, I mean, it will add up to a little bit. Depends how tanky the enemy is. Interesting, I suppose. 1 faction ally's shield buff placed by this skill cannot be removed. 2 faction allies instantly activates this skill whenever this champion's revived. That's quite strong. 3 faction allies will ignore a portion of each target's defense. Amount of defense ignored is equal to the percentage of each target's destroyed max HP. This is interesting. So I don't know how this coding works. Does he destroy their max HP and then attack? And then he'd ignore, what, 10%? Or is it like he does the attack and then he destroys afterwards? So he has to do the skill a few times to benefit from this? I mean, it is interesting. Over a long fight, yeah? Especially if he's dying and being revived and casting this skill for free, you will start to wear down their max HP. I think there's a cap on how much your max HP can be destroyed anyway. Like 50 or 60%. I actually don't know what the cap is. You can't fully destroy. Well, maybe sometimes you can, but he'll hit pretty hard. I mean, it could be kind of nice against a Taurus as well. Taurus, his HP gets sort of destroyed just by being hit. So there's some interesting stuff happening there. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's interesting. But then the passive is where things go really bonkers. Immortal Oath. Whenever this champion is revived, increase the damage inflicted by this champion by 20%. I'm pretty sure that just stacks infinitely. So that's really cool. So he's a weird one. You want him to die. You want him to die and get revived. So strange. With the Unity, 1 faction ally. He's immune to block revive. Okay, great. There's a lot of block revive champs coming into the game at the moment, it feels like. That's obviously very strong for him, especially lets him just use this part. 2 faction allies. Allies receive 20% less damage if this champion is dead. And 3 faction allies. Whenever this champion is dead and an ally attacks an enemy, he joins that attack using his default skill. What a wacky kit, guys. I love it. I love this champion. I'm not sure how good it will be, but my goodness, is it a ton of fun. So you throw this guy in. We want him to die. So I think the idea is just throw him in with no stone skin, right? Just leave him in there. Let him die. Who cares, right? Because if we revive him, he gets a 20% damage boost and he uses his AoE for free. Great. And when he's dead, we take less damage. And whenever we attack, anyone attacks anything, he's going to do an A1. That A1's going to do an irresistible, unblockable true fear. And he can't get polymorphed or anything because he's dead. He's not there. Can't be polymorphed. And it's going to be pumping out heals. Very wacky. There is, like, with this new clan boss as well, there is the one head that's vulnerable to true fear. This could be interesting that, you just leave this guy dead, and whenever anyone attacks, this guy is doing an unblockable, irresistible true fear every time, plus healing you. It could actually be a bizarre strategy against, I can't remember which form it is. Was it the Ram form? Yeah, I think it's the Ram form. Just be like, yo, Ram form, great. old Herakletes or whatever, he's dead, and he's just locking you out constantly. It's such a strange champion. So strange. Yeah. And the funny thing is as well, he's probably pretty nuts even without the faction. Like, the faction unity is bizarre, but he needs to die. If he doesn't die, I mean, it's kind of hard to destroy HP anyway, but you could do it with Life Harvest, of course. But like, I think you could totally use him. You can totally use him without the faction unity as well, just for the A2. His A2 is crazy, right? I think that makes him just a good champion either way. Just a 4-turn, kill somebody and revive an ally. It's really good. It's similar to Odin, right? Similar to Odin. Not as good, though. Odin is better, but it is similar to him. And you could potentially just start chaining this around. Kind of cool. He's so strange, man. He's so strange, and I love it. I'm here for it. Such a wacky design, super unique. To me, this is what, like, faction unity is all about, right? Have some really weird, unique stuff. I will definitely be testing this guy out just to see, as for the memes, right? Seems like a great, great champion in the sense of just being different, right? Just something that's a little bit different, and I love it. I love the creativity. But there we go. They are the new champions. Let me know what you think of them in the comments down below. Which ones you want to see? We don't have too many. I'm honestly not that crazy interested in doing a video on Craklin, to be honest. It seems a bit meh. But I'll obviously be covering the fusion, and I definitely want to cover the faction unity. And yeah, we could definitely try some funky stuff with this Void guy as well, because he's quite weird too. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you had a great time, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.